What's happening, everyone? We're live. Welcome to Back to Post-Match. No, what is it? Friday Night Pint. Live with the boys. We've been doing Friday Night Pints all through lockdown. What you got to drink tonight, boys?
Apart from the ice pole, I've got from Bud Light.
I'm on the Moretti.
Hey, Scotty. Scott's getting on it.
I'm on the Moretti. I tried so hard to get Sammy Gill after last week's comments, but I couldn't find any anywhere. So, yeah.
I've got some Carling tonight.
Filth.
Yeah, no, it's not great, I'll be honest.
Did you say filth or milk?
Filth. Why would I say milk?
I don't know. It sounded like you said milk.
Dan, how can you fucking come at me about Carling when you're sitting there drinking fucking
Budweiser?
No, the other one that you was drinking the other week.
What? Oh, Bud Light. Bud Light.
No. What are you drinking, Scott?
Carlsberg is so much better than Carling. You can't even compare them. Like everyone in the chat would agree. I bet you. Move you guys over.
Yeah, so I'll be more like Graham. Hold on.
Right. So what's on the agenda tonight, boys?
West Ham.
Yeah, West Ham United.
West Ham.
No, yeah. So I think we're just talking about we're going to do like a weekly review. Look at 7 games to go. Can we stay up? And obviously, Ngakia, Zabaleta, Sanchez leaving the club. So I think there's quite a bit to talk about tonight.
It was a bit strange that they let everyone go, I thought. Ngakia obviously weren't signing a new deal. Zabaleta. Who was the other one?
Sanchez.
Oh,
I expected Zabaleta to be offered a extension to the end of the season. That's what I thought was going to happen.
Well, apparently, he didn't want it. He said that his body
injured, didn't he?
Couldn't. No, he said his body couldn't take it, and it weren't fair on the club to offer him an extension. But I think Sanchez leaving's a weird one. I know we ain't all big fans of him, but he would have been someone just to call on the bench. I think to release him is a bit weird. And Ngakia, we know he was always destined to leave the club. He's obviously been tapped up somewhere else, and he's leaving. They're all leaving the club on Tuesday.
Man. Yeah, before the next game. That's why we didn't see Zabaleta on Saturday. Is it Saturday?
Yeah, Saturday.
Yeah, Saturday and Wednesday.
Saturday and Wednesday. Yeah,
whatever it was, Tuesday.
Tuesday. That's the one I'm talking about. That's why we didn't see Zabaleta.
Apparently, he's injured. Someone said he's injured, Zaba.
Yeah, that's what I've read today. I heard that he's got an injury which he's recovering from, and he didn't think it was fair to sign a new deal. And
fair play to him. What a guy.
Yeah.
Must be what the Argentinians do, because you remember when Tarico done it for West Ham when he got injured and ripped up his contract.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, we look a bit thin there. I mean, we've got 7 games to go. They all come in very, very quick succession. And Fredericks hasn't got the best injury record. He's been out for like a little while as well. He probably hasn't played football for 4, 5, 6 months. I don't know. I can't remember when he got his injury. But going into them last 7 games, after we've seen the result for the first 2, that could be a little bit risky, because I don't know who else could have been there. Antonio.
Yeah, I agree,
Ben
mate.
Johnson.
Well, even Ben Johnson's only just come back from injury, so I think we probably will end up seeing. What's happening? And getting mugged live on air.
There's one bigger beer when he's gone.
It's these ice poles, mate.
I know Ben Johnson's obviously been on the bench a couple of times, but he's not fully match fit yet, is he? So it's a big risk to start him in the game.
That's the thing. He had that quite a big injury, weren't it? So he was out for a long period of time. So he's had hardly any game time, and they've not brought him on as a sub. To be fair, starting Fredericks, I think what they should have done was started Fredericks in the first game, played in Ngakia in the second, and left Fredericks out. Give his body more time to recover for the Chelsea game. instead of doing it the way round that they've done it.
Maybe there was.
The thing is, if he weren't going to be playing, obviously they bought him off. He was playing very, very well in that in the Wolves game. He started off really, really shaky, and then by the time they bought him off, he was playing really well. Mm-hmm. What is the point in starting him if he's not going to be at the club to finish the contract? What the other question I've got as well? Can he sign for somebody else and then?
What, play against us potentially?
Yeah, and not maybe play against us.
No, I don't think he can. I don't think he can. Danny's been mugged. Nicky's disappearing.
Yeah, no.
Come on, Scott. What you got up your sleeve, mate? What are you going to do? A magic trick?
I ain't going nowhere. I don't know. I ain't plugged the charger in. I ain't going nowhere, mate. Not a minute. But yeah, he can't play for anyone else.
This season.
He's not going to be registered until next season.
Yeah, because technically it's still the same season, isn't it?
Yeah. Exactly.
Amma's chat says he can't as well. Yeah.
I think it's a lot like with the amateur football. Is you have a sort of deadline where you can't sign any more players. I know you have deadline day in the transfer market, but you can still sign free transfers after the deadline day. I'm sure you have a sort of a cut-off. So in the Sunday and Saturday leagues, the cut-off is the end of March. You can't then sign another player.
So he can sign, but he can't register. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah. So he can't play this season. So he could go and sign for anybody, but he won't be able to play until next season.
Well, that's good then.
I see someone's just put it there, and I was going to bring this up as well. Apparently, he's been linked with going to West Brom.
I saw that as well.
Which is it's a bit of a strange one. I mean, Slaven Bilic would have probably known him from his days, but Ngakia would have been very young. But if West Brom, obviously it looks like West Brom are going to come up, so there will be a Premier League team next season. But if West Ham can't tie down youngsters and they'd rather choose, no disrespect, a team like West Brom over West Ham, there's definitely something wrong behind the scenes at the club.
Mm-hmm. Of course. You know, let's be honest, unless you're guaranteed to know that we're going down and West Brom are coming up, you know, technically, if we stay up and West Brom don't come up, you're taking a step backwards in your career.
I think West Brom will come up, obviously, with Leeds, but Fulham are closing in, so that'd be tough. But, I mean, obviously, Zabaleta and Sanchez left the club as well. And as I said, I can sort of understand the Zabaleta one. The Sanchez one, for me, as I said, I know he's not great, but he would have been an extra body to have just in case we pick up injuries.
I'll be honest with you, mate. I wouldn't have him anywhere near the club. I think he's a waste of money. He's just an absolute drain on wages. He's nowhere near first team standard. He's nowhere near getting in over anyone. I think I'd rather play probably Haller centre defensive midfield or fucking. I'd rather play fucking Randolph there than play Sanchez. Honestly,
I can't remember the last time he played Sanchez. It's been fucking a long time.
I agree with him going out the door. He's a complete waste of space. You know, he's when he has played, he's put no effort in. Let's be honest, to do anything. So I would have rather seen the place in the squad go to a youth team player, because at least then Moyes ain't going to use him. But at least if he did get on, he'd show a bit more art and passion than what we've seen from Sanchez in the games he's played.
But that's apparently what's come out is he don't trust the youth players, Moyes, for the relegation.
This is what I'm saying. He said that he don't trust Silva and Johnson. Ajeti, sorry. Yeah. And I don't know, what's the point of putting them on the bench then?
Exactly.
What's the point?
I mean, look, listen. You don't trust them, right? They're there. They've been at the club for a long time. But you put your trust in someone like fucking Felipe Anderson, who strolls around like he's on the beach in Brazil somewhere. No, there's no way on earth that Moyes is. I'm telling you now. What I've seen in them 2 games, with all the substitutes and all of that sort of nonsense, I'm telling you now, Moyes was never a progressive appointment. You go back and think about where we were and where Everton were when we were sacking our managers, right? They was a little bit before us. We should have been sacking him at the same time. There was Ranieri out there. There was that geezer that used to manage Eintracht at Frankfurt, who'd worked with Haller, who had a chance of getting in Jovic in the transfer window and all of that. Kovac, that's him. Like, there was that many options out there. To go back to David Moyes is such a backward step. It's just
it's cheap, isn't it? It's cheap and it's a lazy appointment. That's what it was. As I said on the show the other night, we sacked Pellegrini in November. That's plenty of time to get in someone a bit more ambitious than David Moyes to give a little bit of money in January. Even if you didn't give him that much money in January, he still had time to work with a decent squad. Yeah. But David Moyes is obviously not getting the right tune out of the players, and something's definitely not working. And it's, as we said in the title, there's 7 games to go. You know, you look around them teams. I'm looking, thinking, where are we going to pick up the points? I mean, everyone's saying, oh yeah, Norwich, Burnley, Newcastle. But look, on our day, I don't even think we could beat them.
You know, it's just the lack of chances created and the fact we're not scoring any goals. I mean, I know we're going to get onto the relegation back, but
two games, Dan, we've had 3 shots on target.
Yeah, that's what I mean. You know,
I think it pretty much summed it up for me that Liverpool have lost 2 games in 2 seasons. We've lost 2 in a week.
You know what I was wondering? Yeah, I was going to tweet this out, but I didn't. But you see, obviously, Klopp's just won the title for them and this, that, and the other. Remember when Klopp was our first choice and we actually approached him, but he was on a break from football and he said, "Thanks, but no thanks. I'm taking a break." So But do you think if we had Klopp, we would be like much better off, maybe challenge for Europe, or do you think any manager is just doomed to failure under this regime?
The thing is, Dan, that I remember when we was linked with Klopp, and there was fans turning their noses up at him. And the thing is,
I was one.
Just remember,
oh my God, Nicky!
Just remember when he come into Liverpool, we was above Liverpool. We finished above them that season. We beat them 3 times, twice in the league and the cup. Now, I'm not saying we're bigger than Liverpool and we're just going to go on to bigger and better things. But someone like Jurgen Klopp coming in at that time could have changed the club. Will it have happened? We never know. Liverpool obviously went out, they strengthened. And look, since Klopp's been there, they've won the Champions League, the World Cup, the Premier League. They lost in the Europa League final. They was in the League Cup final. So they've progressed massively. And Jurgen Klopp's first dream said, I want to bring the Premier League title to Liverpool. It's taken him 5 years, but he's done it.
I think that, like, my opinion is this, right? And this is only my opinion, and this is what I base on what I see of the others. These owners, they don't know the direction to take. They don't know whether they want to go all out attacking, fucking, brilliant passing football. They don't know whether they want a solid manager who makes us hard to beat. They ain't got a clue. And they changed direction. I said this the other day. They changed direction more than Lewis Hamilton on a U-turn. You know what I mean? Like, they just keep on fucking changing the complete direction. We've got no vision for what we want to be. You know what I mean? We need to be something. And at the minute, we're nothing. We're not a defensive team. We leak goals like anything. We're like a fucking a sink with fucking Owen when it comes to leaking goals. We're not a particularly attacking team. Like you watch us against Wolves and Spurs. What were we doing? We was doing nothing. We was getting overrun in midfield. We was getting overrun. Like, we wasn't creating anything in attack. And okay, we defended quite well. But eventually, it's not like we can hold that out for a whole game. There's like when you see in the Wolves game, there's a mistake from Diop, then there's a mistake from Fredericks. We're a whole lot of nothing. So there's no way, or there's no structure, the way they bring players in. Like when you bring players in these days, there's so much to look at. It's not just he'll do, you know what I mean? And that's how they bid when they go in a transfer window. Like, you hear it every transfer window. They chuck around bids everywhere and see what sticks. You've got to analyse whether he fits into the system. You've got to analyse whether the manager wants him. You've got to analyse, even down to things like where he'll live and will he be happy where he lives and what's his wife like, what's his kids like, are they going to settle here and all of that sort of thing. You've got to look at so much stuff. And that's why football club after football club not only employ scouts and data analysts and all that sort of thing, but they employ people behind the scenes to look at that sort of thing, like PRs and all that. With us, we've just got David Sullivan in a little office telling everyone he can do it himself. And sometimes I don't think it's incompetence or a lack of money and all that. I just think it's an ego trip for him. That's where I think we go wrong. It's an ego trip. He thinks he can do everything. And he can't, let's be honest, he can't do nothing. This is not 1990 Birmingham. This is 2020 West Ham in the Premier League. It takes billions and billions and billions of pounds to run football clubs these days. We make enough, but any money that we do get and any money that they do give us to spend, we waste because no, but like when you look at the last 10 years, it seems like even people like Sam Allardyce would go and work for a fucking League Two club if they was offering the right money. But even him was saying, you know, I don't want to go back to work with them and all that. David Moyes, he couldn't get a job anywhere else. Like, he was out of the game for a year and a half. No, but not even a League One club coming for him and said, like, come, like, fucking sort this out. You know what I mean? We've got no philosophy. We've got no direction. We're relying on scouts to recommend players for us. They're good players. And I put this tweet out the other day. They're good players. You got Haller, brilliant centre forward in the right sort of system. They've bought him and sold 4 strikers. He's got no one round him. We sold Chicharito after the transfer window shut. You know what I mean? That would have been a perfect partnership. Chicharito would have scored tons more goals, but his heart weren't in it. But they waited until the transfer window was shut because they knew the fans would demand somebody else. I'm all right, thank you, darling.
No, don't drink beer, you'll get drunk.
They knew he would.
Just in case.
You know, they thank you. They knew he would, you know, the fans would demand someone else. And they didn't want to do that. They let Carroll go. They let Perez go. Perez is one of the players in the season in Spain. You know, It's not a coincidence that these players don't settle on. And as you go on, like managers, players and all that, they look at West Ham and they think, where are they going? Like, honestly, where are they going? They promised them this, they promised them that. They're a bit of a shamble. They never know what way they, you know, what direction they're going in. They've got no ambition, really. They sign all these big players, but I wouldn't work with him. And nobody wants to work for Golden Sullivan because, by all accounts, behind the scenes, like in football, you know, we hear it time and time again. They're a fucking nightmare to work for. You know, they demand so much.
Just quickly going back to the Perez and Hernandez comments and that comes down to the manager for me because he picks the team. You know, Golden Sullivan obviously get him the players, but it comes down to Pellegrini not playing them. And to be fair, under Bilic as well, Hernandez, they couldn't fit him in the team. I don't know why. Everyone could see that Hernandez up top with someone would have worked, especially Haller, would have been perfect. But they got rid of him. They sold him on the cheap as well. For 9 million, I'll take a gamble and keep him.
Yeah, but this is the thing. If these managers, right, their system and the way that they want to play doesn't accommodate playing a 2 up top system, even though we can all see that would be the best way to play, if their philosophy and the way they want to play doesn't suit that, why buy a player that should be in that system? Shouldn't you look at the manager and go, right, tell us your vision. What do you want to play? We need to get the sort of players that play to you what you want to play rather than like, oh, he's good, have him. You know what I mean? Like, it's a weird one. It's weird. I appreciate that, by the way. Peach, the 5-foot troop. Dan was right about Moyes from the jump. I got a lot of stick for when we signed him and I said that video.
But the thing is, I mean, people dig me out saying I said about David Moyes. The thing is with David Moyes, when we reappointed him, I wasn't willing to have a go at him because you've got to give him a chance. What's the point of us rehiring him? They're not going to say, oh, hang on, Ryan Archer don't agree with it. Let's fucking get rid of him. They're not, are they?
No, but it's all about opinions. It's about opinions.
Oh, yeah, it's about opinions. But as I said, I didn't want David Moyes. I don't think 98% of our fan base wanted David Moyes. But when we got him back, I thought to myself, do you know what? I'm willing to give him a chance. And a lot of people are waiting for him just to foul, just to lose, so they can jump and say, oh, I told you so. But it hasn't worked out. And look, at the end of the day, he's our manager for the next 7 games, you know, so he's got to get us out.
Our manager for the next year, mate. I think, honestly, I
think if we stay up, they're going to get rid of him.
I'd be shocked. I'd be very shocked.
I will, but if you look at the signing of Bowen, right? Nicky's saying that they're not looking at players to fit the system and looking at players like that. Bowen was the player they obviously looked at and knew could fit the system that Moyes wants to play. The problem is Moyes doesn't play the system we set up for the right way. So we've got players who can call things. Right, we ain't had them all fit at the same time, which has made things much more difficult. But we saw that before the COVID. You know, the way we were playing, we were looking to play. We were being a bit more forward thinking, a bit more attacking, bringing players like Bowen into the game more. And as I said, we've gone backwards with that. So the players are there, but the problem is the system of shutting up shop, and trying to hold out to get something at teams like Wolves and Tottenham because you think you're not good enough. is absolutely pointless. They're the teams that we should be going there and attacking. Because let's be honest, we're going to get beat if we sit back. So we might as well get beat going forward.
Well, look at Villa against Chelsea.
Exactly.
Did you watch that game? I mean, I know they ultimately lost, but they went in and they got the first goal. Obviously, Lampard did a masterclass, bringing on Pulisic off the bench, and he scored the first goal. I think he was involved in the second, but still, like, they're scoring goals against Chelsea on a great run of form, and they're taking it to them. You know what I mean? On another day, they could have won.
I just think we've got a lack of leaders in our team. I just think we've got a lack of people that are willing to upset other players by telling them exactly how it is. I mean, you go back to years ago when you had players like Lomas in the team, John Moncur, and you carry on and you go further down. We've always had them sort of players that would drag players through. But at the moment, I'm not seeing that. I'm not seeing that even from Mark Noble. Mark Noble, for me, looks like he's give up a bit.
I don't think so much he's given up. I think that it's just the mentality of Moyes is we're not going to beat Tottenham, we're not going to beat Wolves, we're not going to beat Chelsea.
Why not?
But that's what I'm saying. I totally agree. But that's Moyes' mentality, right? He's looking at right.
Well, then he shouldn't be a football manager.
Totally agree. Totally agree.
And then players shouldn't be playing football, because if they walk on that pitch thinking we ain't going to win today, don't matter who you play. It's 11 against 11. Anyone on their day can beat anyone. So they shouldn't be putting on the shirt. They should be fucking fighting.
But it's a case of his tactics in them two games have been sit back, defend, try not to concede, and if we're lucky, we'll nick a goal. And we haven't. We go into the Chelsea game. Chelsea played last night. They've got the FA Cup on the weekend, and then we've got them on Tuesday. We can't afford to go and be too expensive against Chelsea, but we can't sit back and be as deep as we were against Wolves. We've got to be structured defensively, but we need to push on a bit more.
Yeah, but Gio makes a good point about Villa. Obviously, it was Chelsea was mostly on top. Looking back on it, they'd have a lot of chances in that. But the point is, so if Villa can be under the cosh for so much and still wind up scoring a goal, why is it when you look at that Wolves game, there weren't, like Wolves weren't really all over us, was they? They weren't really creating. We weren't really creating. So in that's an opportunity. And before Traore comes on, when you know you're going to be under the shit, that's the time to go all out and push on and try and get the goals. And I don't know, it's just there's no plan, like plan B. There's no.
Let's take some comments. Peach the Fish Trooper says Dan was right about Moyes from the jump. No point giving any manager a budget to spend when that manager will be sacked averagely 3 years later. Sam Zini says, who knows, yet it could be the Jovic to Haller. Matt Kelsey's got him well trained. West Ham United, the 90s years, without a new takeover, we're going a back step every day. Did we have a direction pre-Golden Sully? No, we got through it by having luck and some good managers. I would also say we had it by having a nice tight stadium and an intimidating atmosphere. Rory Sullivan, let's be honest, for the club, how we no identity, no plan on the pitch, no structure at the club. Nothing we are where we deserve. Relegation would be fitting. I agree with you, mate. How can Villa, Bournemouth, Watford and Brighton be better than us? Mark Sherman Brown says Nicky is hitting the nail on the head tonight. Mally H says, hi Nicky, any chance of the printers maybe doing a Bobby Moore t-shirt? There is a big possibility of that, mate. Dan, you need a fan, mate.
I got one and it's pointing at someone else.
Matt Powell, Nicky should be our next manager. Ryan assistant, Scott coach, Dan scout, Graham can make the tea.
Thing is, I mean, like when you look at our next 7 fixtures, I mean, we've got a tough one against Chelsea. I think that, bearing in mind we've lost our last 2 games, I think we've had a bit of luck that we're still at the bottom 3. Results have gone our way. I mean, we said it the other night. It might be a good thing if we dropped in the bottom 3 because it might give our players a kick up the arse. But realistically, against Chelsea, I mean, is anyone expecting anything apart from a defeat?
No. Yeah, you've got to be. Let's be honest. When we played Chelsea early in the season and got the win there, we sat back quite a lot in that game.
We get through the Chelsea game. If we get a point from that, it's a bonus. 3 points is everything. But you got Newcastle away, Burnley at home, Norwich away, and Watford. Out of them 4 games, we need a minimum of 7 points. If we can get 7 points out of that, then we'll be a Premier League team next season.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you, mate. I'm with you. I
can't remember the last time we went 3 unbeaten though. Like
yeah, the only problem with that is, right, and everyone's looking at this, and I'm sure Moyes is you know, I'm sure Moyes is targeting these games and all that sort of thing. But the problem is with there, you go past Tottenham, you go past Wolves without getting a point, then you go to Chelsea. Likelihood is we're not going to get a point now. We need it.
Well, we got 3 points, yeah.
But likelihood is, if you're looking at stats and all of that, likelihood is we're not going to get any points here. So now you're targeting the teams like Villa, Watford, Norwich, and all that. Problem is if you lose them games after giving so little effort against Wolves and also we've got Man United coming up as well. But you lose. You give so little effort against Wolves and threaten so little against Spurs. If you lose them games, you're then giving the points to the people around you. Which lose. Let's go to the Watford game. We lose that 1-0. We go to the Norwich game, which is away, by the way, and there's no easy game in the league, no matter whether they're down or what. And we lose again. We're then 6 points behind Watford, which then brings it to 2 teams, and it brings it down to Villa. Like. It's such a stupid tactic to sort of like target games, because I've heard of different sorts of rumours that Haller's been fit, but they couldn't play him because there's a clause in his contract saying we'd have to pay so much money if he plays another game before June 30th. But after June 30th, it expires and then it goes on to the sort of the next season. Like, there's all sorts of things like that, and if that's true. It's down to David Moyes to say to Sullivan and Gold, like, we need him. If you want to survive, we need him in these games because he could get us the goal and all that sort of thing. But let's not kid ourselves with Haller. It ain't exactly like he's fucking Luis Suarez of 2014 for Liverpool. You know what I mean? He's not that sort of player. He's barely scored any fucking goals all season.
He's still our top goal scorer, though, isn't he?
Exactly.
About 7 all season. But he's not like some sort of super striker. You know what I mean? But what we do need is we need people like Antonio back in their positions. We need people like people fucking slating Antonio, slating him like that. How he's no better than a championship player. They're playing him out front. He's played in every position. I don't give a fuck what anybody says. Probably apart from Bowen, he's our best player.
Yeah, the thing is with Antonio, he's a grafter and he will run all day long for you. And if you put him right back, he might not like it, but he'll do a job. And yeah, some people call him a championship player. He was a championship player. We've turned him into a Premier League player. He's very important for us. For me, against Chelsea, we've got to try to. I don't want to say match them because they're better than us, but. For me, if Haller's not fit, then I'll play Bowen up top on his own, and I'd put Antonio out wide, and probably I might change it up and maybe sort of give either Lanzini or Yarmolenko a chance. Give them a run out.
What we've got to do, mate, is like people like Abraham and all of them guys. We've got to get them into a scrap. We've got to bring them down to our level. We can't sit there and try and play football with them because it's not like we can do that. We need to bring them down. We need to sit really deep, frustrate them. We need to bring them down to a good old-fashioned scrap because that's the way we would get points. That's the way we would get points in this league if we bring people down to scrap.
The worry is our shit. We've looked at set pieces like corners and free kicks, and when you're not creating much from open play and not threatening much from open play, you want to at least be able to do something from your corners and free kicks.
You mean attacking wise then?
Yeah, attacking wise. That's what I'm saying. Like be able to.
I thought we defended set pieces quite well.
But threatening, like we get a corner and you think, right, let's make something, let's do something. It's either played, can't it beat the first man, or it's played straight into the keeper's hands, or things like that. We need to make the most of these set pieces.
See, the thing is, I've always looked at the teams over the years of supporting West Ham, and you always look in a tunnel before a game, and you can always tell by a player whether they're up for it or not. And especially the Tottenham game the other night, the second half. It didn't look like they wanted to come out for the second half. They didn't want to play. They looked like they were scared to concede. And that's the worrying thing for me. It's like we can see the goal and we've got no plan or no fight.
it's when you look at that, right? When you look at the way they come out of that second half, right? We've just defended well, in the first half in general. We didn't get forward that much. We had a goal ruled out. They had a goal ruled out, for offside, right on the stroke of half time. Then they've obviously been given the message, go out there and do the same again. Now, that's not progressing you anywhere forward. That's literally, saying, right, go there and just defend for another 45 minutes. They're knackered from defending 45 minutes without the ball already. You're going out there to tell them to do exactly the same thing. There's no right, lads. We're going to keep it tight for 10 minutes. And then after 10 minutes, I'm going to bring so-and-so on. We're going to change this, change that, and go for it a bit. It wasn't. It was just stick to what we're doing, carry on doing it. I think if you're hard, you're going to be knackered mentally. You're going to be fucked by the time you go back out there. I'm just going to do
David Moyes is one of them managers that he'll stick to what he knows until it works. Yeah. And then once it works, he will turn around and say, like, it's working. But we're running out of games. We've got 7 games to go. Now you've got to start. This is where you show what sort of manager you are. You've got to change it up a bit, and we have to. These last 7 games. Them 4 games that I said after the Chelsea game is whether we're going to be a Premier League team next season or not.
The other thing, Mike, I think you are right. I think it was you who said it the other night. It might be Nicky, that when we come to play Chelsea, we could be in that bottom 3. Right? Yeah. And that might be, like one of you two said, that could be the kick up the arse that we need to start producing. And that could be why we go on to get a result against Chelsea.
100%, mate.
We've got to, we've dropped into that. But if we're not in the bottom 3 by the time we play Chelsea, we will just defend. We will sit back and hope the catch.
We're gonna try to rely on other teams' results.
Exactly.
And
no. If and that's it. That's exactly it. If we're in that bottom 3, then they've got to change it. Then they've got to give it a go and have a go at it. Because at the end of the day, if you're in the bottom 3 going into Chelsea, you might as well have a go. Because it's not going to come down to goal difference. It's going to come down to who has the most points on the ball.
And someone's just said there, Yarmolenko, Bowen and Antonio with 4-0, Souček and Rice. And that's exactly what I was saying.
100%.
Yarmolenko's got to be given a chance in these last 7 games. And even if we lose, but he gets a run out against Chelsea, he gets minutes under his belt.
Yep.
Well, it's Jordan Such has donated £20. Thank you so much, mate. That means an awful lot. I'm a Man United fan, and to be very honest with you, even if West Ham survive relegation this season, without drastic change before next season, I don't see how you don't go down. Can't keep relying on others being worse.
Absolutely. Well, it's like Sunderland, didn't it? Sunderland kept having them near misses. West Brom were the same. Every season was so close, and eventually it caught up with them. So I think he's right. If we don't go in this season, like you said, with Adrian, it's next season it's going to happen.
I mean, just sort of looking at the league table. I mean, Southampton for me, I think are safe now. But you've got Brighton on 33 points. Then you've got Watford on 28, us on 27, Bournemouth 27, Villa 27, Norwich 21. So it's out of that bottom, from Brighton downwards, isn't it?
Yeah.
Brighton have tough fixtures coming up. Bournemouth got. So when I look at our fixture list, I think we have got the sort of easiest running. I don't want to say easiest, but I think we've got more chance of getting points than what some other teams has. But you always get 1 or 2 teams that bring a run together, and get results where they're not meant to. So that's what I'm saying. That 4 games that I spoke about is like a mini little World Cup for us. Yeah. We need to win. 7.
The thing is, going back to Villa, Aston Villa, right? Obviously, they went 1-0 down against Newcastle and came back to draw 1-1. Can you see West Ham going 1-0 down against anyone and coming back? Because this season, I can't count it. I can't even remember how many times we've actually done that. We've gone because usually when we go number 1-0 down, it's like game over. Then it goes 2-0, 3-0.
I'm sure there was a stat popped up on the telly during the Tottenham game, and I could be wrong, but I don't think we've won a game that we've been gone 1-0 down in. I could be wrong, but that's what I'm sure I saw.
That's the problem. I feel like, I don't know about Norwich, take Norwich out of the equation, but we have like the least fight out of any team in the league.
The worrying stat is that how many points we've dropped from winning positions, 22 points. That would have put us 5th in the league at the moment. And we'd all be sitting here now doing the fucking conga.
Yep.
How we're talking about European football. So there's obviously something that's got to be addressed, and we are leaking goals, but we're not scoring enough. And as soon as a team gets on top of us, we drop our heads. We lose the fight. And that's what I'm saying. We haven't got that sort of player in our team that will drag us through games. Like the last player was probably Scott Parker.
There's been a lot of comments about Scott Parker actually today, so it's interesting you bring him up.
I've just seen. I was right. It's 14 losses. I think they're saying 14 games without a point when conceding first. That's awful. That's awful. And that's the thing is that sort of stat sticks in players' minds because you're sitting there. As I said, with the Spurs game, you're sitting there. You've got to 0-0. You know, you're going out in the second half. There's a lack of ambition. There's no drive to change things. There's no drive to, right, we're going to defend a bit higher up the pitch. We're going to try and press them a little more. There's nothing. It's just literally carry on doing what we're doing, and then we'll see what happens. And
that's the problem.
Go on, sorry, Dan. Go on, mate.
No, I was just going to say, like, in a relegation battle, to have that sort of defeatist mindset and not have that fight and that never say die attitude, you need that. So are they going to get to the point where we're not down, but it's looking hard and maybe we've really got to get some points where they're just their heads are going to drop and just give up? And that's the problem. It's almost like they're giving up. And for a relegation battle, that's suicide, you know? Yeah,
when you look at I mean, Tottenham the other night, I mean, I've spoken to a few Tottenham fans since the game, and they'd admit they weren't great that night, but they didn't have to be. You know, their defence was there for the taking. We didn't take advantage because we had no one up top. As we said the other day, when you've got a difference between, and I will call him world class because Harry Kane is a world class goal scorer. When you've got a player like that, a quarter fit Harry Kane as well. That's what teams do to you. They take their chances, and that's why Tottenham are at the right end of the league and we're down the bottom. You look at Wolves. Wolves wasn't great, but they make one substitution. Bang! Traore comes on, rips our defence apart, and you've got a striker in now, Jimenez, who's going to finish, who's going to score goals. Yeah. This is what we've been lacking in these first two games. We've got no one up top. I'm not saying Haller would have made a big difference, but some of the chances that have fell to, especially Fornals, Haller would have probably buried them, and that makes a big difference.
Yeah, and not only that, Haller's a much more physical presence up top. You know, in the air and things like that. You look at the Spurs game, right? Eric Dyer, clumsy, useless type of centre half. You know, you saw the mistakes that he made against United. You saw some of the mistakes he made. You have Antonio up there trying to run them and cause them a few problems. Right? You know that Dyer's clumsy. Why are you not looking the last 20 minutes to stick someone's fresh legs up there to cause them problems, to make them think? You know, he didn't. And that's the problem. You know, as I said, whether you trust the Jetty or not, a Jetty is a striker. A Jetty will make runs that strikers are meant to make. Yeah. Antonio's not a striker. He's a winger. And he's an head down and run winger. He's not one of these winners that wants to cut inside and look to shoot like we've got with Bowen. Yeah. And that's the thing that pisses me off with Moyes, is that you get to a game, you get to a certain period, even if you're still 0-0, take a player off, gamble a little bit, put a bit of fresh legs on in places where it's going to cause other teams. This was
a mistake the other night, wasn't it? That Jose spotted where he needed to make a substitution, and he made it at the right time.
Yep.
And then as soon as we made our subs, he made a like-for-like sub and shut it up. So that's the difference between elite top managers and mediocre lower managers.
Speaking of managers, I want to address. There's a lot of comments come up about this subject. I've got a Tower fan, by the way, from Argos. It's not doing a lot. My house is always very hot, guys. A lot of people ask if I'm in the sauna. I'm sweating. I'm pissing sweat.
You look like an under pressure David Moyes at the moment.
I am. Well, speaking of
right, is your window? Yeah. Have you got the sun directly on your back window?
I've got it directly. The sun's over there, I think. The sun's that way. So
put the fan, the back of the fan is at the window because it'll pull the air in, and the air outside's cooler than what's in your house.
I'll point it. I'll see if I can maneuver plug sockets and all that, make it a bit tricky. But otherwise, I've got me. Someone's
it's the DT. Neil Ruddock and Julian Dix will be in prison if they shared the dressing room with some of our players today. And that's exactly what I was saying earlier. It's bang on. Players like that wouldn't stand for the players at the moment, the way their attitude. Even going back to recent times, a Ginger Pele would not handle that. You know, and that's the one thing we're lacking. And with Declan Rice is 21 and he's got so much pressure on his shoulders at the moment, and he shouldn't be like that, because when you look the likes of Joe Cole and Carrick and all that, when they come through, they expressed themselves and went and played football. They had players like Lomas, John Moncur, Razor Ruddock, all around them, Julian Dix, to do their scrapping and fighting for them.
Yeah, exactly.
So getting back to this comment, no, you're right. But someone's saying about a lot of comments in there saying, what do we think about sacking Moyes and having Nolan as a caretaker manager? It's an interesting one because I don't know how I feel, because part of me says, no, it's no point. It's unsettled as the squad and a bit of instability. But sometimes it can have the opposite effect and give the players a bit of a lift. And so, I'm very undecided on that one. Nolan as the caretaker. He has got managerial experience. So,
yeah, I mean... I do understand what people are saying, and for me, if David Moyes was sacked after the Chelsea game, then there's no doubt that Kevin Nolan would be put in temporary charge, because no one's going to come in and take over for the last 6 games. They're going to have someone there in place in Kevin Nolan. Look, Kevin Nolan was a great captain for us. He wouldn't have any pressure on him, would he?
No, exactly, because if he went down, you wouldn't blame him, would you?
I just think that. I think if we do survive, which I'm still confident we'll do, and it will come down to other teams' results, I think that in the summer they need to react, and they need to say to David Moyes, look, it hasn't worked out. There's no point giving David Moyes a summer, letting him bring in his signings, and then we start off shit next season, and then we'll all be sitting here saying the same thing again after 10 games. He's got to go. But the flip side of that, he could bring in his own signings, and it could be totally different, and it could work out. Yeah. But that's a decision that the board have to make, and they have to stick by it. So it's a tough decision to make. But for me, I think everyone at the moment would say that they want David Moyes out.
Yeah, but see, the other thing to that is when we were chatting in the build-up to the Spurs game, you've got no one knows what the financial situation of football is going to be come the start of next season. So the problem is that if you get another manager in, the manager may not have the funds to work with any of the players other than what we've already got there. And this is the problem. You can sit there and say we'll back Moyes and get Moyes. Moyes will start the season, and then we have to boot him out and get someone else in. Is there going to be any money there to improve it? That's the big worry. Is that if we stay up and stick with Moyes, or they get Moyes to bring someone else in, is there going to be money there to bring players in to improve the side? Because the way things are looking at the moment, we're going to offload players, and we're not going to have a chance to get anyone in. And whoever's going to be there is going to have to work with the likes of Josh Cullen, with the likes of Grady Diagana, players who have done all right in the Championship and have now got to bed into a side that's going to go through a massive transition, whether we stay up or go down.
Man, but no, what do you think then about possibility of sacking Moyes and Nolan as caretaker?
I wouldn't put Nolan as caretaker, to be honest. As I said, he's a great leader. He'd probably give a few people a kick up the backside, but I just don't. His managerial record isn't brilliant, and I think it's just too much of a risk, if I'm honest.
Well, the thing is, Nolan's there at the moment, isn't he? So he can express himself in the change room. How much he's allowed to do that, we don't know. But I'd like to think that he's allowed to have a say in the change room and G the players up.
Yeah, and that's the thing. If he's not having a say, then again, there's a massive problem, because why'd you bring him in? A manager brings coaches in to work with the players, to work on things what he wants to do, but he brings them in because they trust their opinions. And if they've got an opinion on something that they feel is not going right, or maybe they see something that the manager can't see or the manager's missing, it's the coach's job to then turn around and say, well, hang on, David, I think you've missed, this may work a bit better. Can we try this out? And then if the manager's too arrogant to sit there and say, well, no, what I pick is right and that's it, then that's the poor manager. You look at the Alex Ferguson. Alex Ferguson, one of the best managers that we've ever seen, he trusted the coaches that he brought in to run the side when it comes to training, and he had his ideas and visions of what he wanted to do, and he used to communicate with the coaches. That just seems to me in our club that no one communicates, no one wants to talk, no one wants an opinion. Everyone just leaves it down to the manager and lets him take all the stick for it.
Right, let's take some comments. If we go down, I think the protest needs to increase and we have to make the owners react. I think it's the most important thing of all if we get relegated. I think if we go down, mate, there'd be a fucking riot over there, to be honest.
I think if we stay up, the protest should increase as well, even if we
Mally
stay up.
H just found out Ngakia is going to Watford. I don't know how true that is. I can't confirm that. If it's true, then we'll talk about it. In the end, the players ain't good enough, says Lone Star Londoner. Lee Davis, Martin O'Neill was at Ipswich, League One. You know, again, this, you know, the manager slipped down the leagues because, you know, after time it sort of passes and by. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's not many managers.
There's a lot of people saying about Bilic in, and I think that ship has definitely sailed, mate. We should have stuck with him when we had him.
Sullivan thinking let's play Moyes 10k a week, but also get relegated and lose 60, 70 million. A good business sense. Yeah, loads of people talking about that. Right, we're going to start getting the questions in for the last half an hour. That's in 15 minutes. Anyway, anything else on the agenda?
I wanted to ask Ryan as well, just because obviously you were saying that you don't think Moyes will be managing next season, or you wouldn't like to see him managing next season. Do you have any names off the top of your head who you think you'd like to see? Yeah, I mean,
I would like to maybe see us be a bit ambitious, go for someone like Kovac, who we should have gone for in November. Or, this probably won't be a popular opinion, but I think he's a good manager and I think he's ready to move on. Sean Dyche. I think someone like Sean Dyche, I mean, people call him the ginger Sam Allardyce. I think we need a Sam Allardyce at the moment. And I think with someone like Sean Dyche, he won't stand for it. He will tell players exactly what they need to be, what they need to hear. But I'd like to bring in a young, ambitious, maybe it doesn't have to be foreign, it can be English. But maybe someone like Kovac.
There's a lot of Scott Parker and Lee Bowyer comments. In the thing. Yeah,
I mean, there's people in there saying Pochettino. I mean, Pochettino, no disrespect, he's too big for West Ham. He's going to be wanting to look for someone a lot bigger than West Ham. But you know, Lee Bowyer, no, I'd probably swing more towards Scott Parker because I think that Scott Parker, young manager, improving the game. But yeah, no, I'd sort of swing towards someone like Kovac.
Well, Eddie Howe might be available. There's a good chance that he could be leaving.
I think with Eddie Howe now, I think, you know, I was a big fan of Eddie Howe, but it's a difficult one because you look at what he's doing at Bournemouth at the moment. I think if he come in at West Ham, there'll be a lot of pressure on him straight away. And if he loses 2 or 3 games, you know, it's a difficult one. But Eddie Howe is a young, he's a good manager. He's struggling. What he's done at Bournemouth is remarkable. No one can ever take that away from him. From where they were when he first went to the club to where they are now. I mean, if you'd have said to Bournemouth 10 years ago, you're going to be struggling in the Premier League, I think everyone in Bournemouth would have took that. You know what I mean? So
yeah, that's it. I know, and you're looking. You know, Scotty Parker. He did all right when he took over at Fulham before they got relegated. If I'm memory serves me right, he's doing a good job there. He could be someone to come in, but the problem is I just feel that anyone that comes in this season, it's going to be a poison chalice. I really do think it's going to be a poison chalice because I just think you'll be damned if you do, damned if you don't. You know, I don't think they're going to have money to spend. They're going to have to go and take gambles on players and rely a lot on youth. So you need to look at players that are going to get the best out of the youth players and help bring them players through.
Do you think, right, but obviously we mentioned Big Sam, I think it was Nicky said he wouldn't want to come back and work for him. Do you think part of that was we was in the middle of a relegation fight and he didn't want to come and do a fight? Or do you think he would possibly take it from a fresh season, or he's just like, nah?
No, who's that? Sam Allardyce?
Sam, yeah.
I just think the way Sam Allardyce was treated towards the end under the owners, why would he want to come back and work for him again? I think that's the thing with our owners. No one ever leaves on good terms. I mean, even Slaven Bilic, I think, wouldn't want to come back. And we know Slavs loves the club because not only did the majority of the fan base turn on Bilic, the players turned on Bilic, and the owners turned on him. But when the season before under the Bolin, Bilic was like fucking Jesus. You know, everyone was loving him. And this is what I'm saying. We had how many managers in our history since the club? You look at the managers we've had under Golden Sullivan. Zola wasn't given a chance. Then we brought in Avram Grant, dog shit. Sam Allardyce come in, steadied the ship, got us a mid-table Premier League team, and then they sacked him. They brought Bilic in. It was the first season under Bilic was brilliant. Never forget it. As soon as it got a bit toxic, they sacked him, brought in David Moyes. He done a half decent job, kept us up, got an out of it playing well, got some decent results. They sacked him, brought in Pellegrini, backed him, didn't work out. They've gone back to Moyes.
Yes.
I don't think it's only the fact that that teams wouldn't want to play for him. I think you've got to look at the way these managers depart as well. Zola, as you said, as soon as they walked out the door, they was fucking shoving him out the door. And let's be fair, with the squad that he had at the time, which was absolutely dire, he done a quite a decent job. And then they got Avram Grant. I mean, I heard players on podcasts this week telling us that Avram Grant was the worst manager they've ever worked under, and they've worked under.
He used to sit in his office. Didn't even used to take training.
Yeah, like he's the worst manager, like the most incompetent person they've ever seen. But when you look at the way he ended, we lost at Wigan. We went down at Wigan. I think there was still a game left. They wouldn't even let him back on the fucking coach.
To be fair, mate, I wouldn't have let him on the coach either.
Yeah, like the thing is, Ray, you just don't treat people like that. Do you know what I mean? Like Allardyce came in, steadied the ship, done everything, signed Kevin Nolan. Like whatever people think about Allardyce's football and that, I think this is my personal opinion. I think that, at the time when I think they told him about Christmas time that they weren't going to renew his contract, we was playing some really good football. With some, we was flop. I think we was up at fourth or third in the league when they, and then it just went downhill from there. I just think the way they treated him at the end of the season, give him the Newcastle game and announced it straight up. Then Bilic as well, sacked him halfway through a season. You know what I mean? Like when there was all sorts of problems going at the club. The way they treated Moyes, like nothing's ever ended amicably, And then you must look at that as a manager and think, Jesus fucking Christ! Like, well, if you go in there and do bad, you got these two like egomaniacs running around the club, and they're going to treat you like shit. So who the fuck would going to go and players must think that as well,
Well, I mean that is, I don't know, a lot of clubs it is like that. A lot of clubs though, didn't they? Like Watford are notorious for their how they are with managers and even Everton and stuff. It's such a, but yeah, I just think you're right in terms of when they treat people. But in the ruthlessness, I think that's just football. Yeah,
but the thing is when you go back to the Avram Grant season, we were going to get Martin O'Neill, and then Martin O'Neill saw the way that the club was treating Avram Grant and turned around and said, I don't want to work with you. Big Sam, I wouldn't have him back. He's out of the game for a reason. How many clubs are in trouble when they haven't gone to him? I think his football is dated. He's just another dinosaur like Moyes, and I wouldn't want him back at the club. We're talking
you're talking about Sean Dyche.
I agree with you. Yeah, but Sean Dyche, Dan, Burnley play good football, mate.
Exactly.
Burnley do the job. Burnley, they get results. They're a Premier League team. They're not everyone, though. Yeah, listen, but the thing is with Sean Dyche, he's a younger manager, and I don't think personally he would be a bad option for someone like West Ham, because we need to look at ourselves as a football club. Some of our fans think that we are better and bigger than what we are. We need to take a look at ourselves and think we're not even a mid-table Premier League team at the moment. You look at over the last 4 seasons, we haven't finished in the top half. So we need someone to steady that football club, steady that team, and progress us and move us up the table slowly. Even if it takes 5 years. Even if it takes 5 years to get West Ham battling year in, year out for European football, then that's where it has to be.
But the fact that you've just said that, doesn't that show how far back we've gone? Because we brought Big Sam, obviously, to get us up and steady the ship and stabilise the club, which he did. And then we went on to bit on from Sam to then progress in that. And now we're just back from where we was,
Well, the thing is, if you look throughout our history, right, especially our recent history, we seem to be sort of going around in circles every 10 years. Like we get a relegation sort of on average every 10 years. So once a decade we get relegated, and we come up, we do really well. We get a few good players and all that. Then they start to sort of like sell off or not play well, or they want to leave and all that. But the difference is between the other years and like this time is the fact that we was moving to this stadium to progress. We was moving to this stadium to, attract better players and all that. And I've seen clips today about, David Sullivan saying about like we're going to be a force to be reckoned with when we get the extra revenue and all that. The extra revenue is about an extra £2 million. It don't even pay sort of like fucking for the digs for the players, I don't think. You know what I mean? Like,
sorry, mate. Someone's just said this here. I don't want to miss it. This is the fact. This is what I was trying to think of earlier. We had 8 managers in 100 years. We've had 13 managers in 19 years. That's the problem with the football club. We can't get no stability. And when things go wrong, I know it's modern football, and the manager is the first one to lose their job because you can't obviously sack 22 players or whatever. But that's the thing we need: stability at the club. And I just think under sort of Sam Allardyce, we was getting that stability. We come up and we was getting that mid-table football. Look, we decided to part with him, and we went with Slaven Bilic. We progressed massively under Slaven Bilic. We should have. People say we overachieved that season. I don't think we achieved what we should have achieved that season. We was on the verge, 3 games away from Champions League football. We had a quarter-final in the FA Cup that we should have won.
Yeah. We were robbed a lot by refereeing decisions.
Yeah, we was just progressing under Bilic. But then as soon as it got a little bit tough, fans started to turn. And that all comes down to social media. The reason why we only had 8 managers in 100 years, because there wasn't social media in them days. Because I guarantee you, the likes of John Lyall, Ron Greenwood, if there was Twitter and social media around them days, they probably wouldn't survive. They'd be getting ripped apart week in, week out. It's what happens.
Let me just read this one out before, because Jordan Such has donated another £20. Please stop donating now. You don't have to donate to get your money read out, to get your message read out. We'll read them out anyway.
We can put this towards our transfer budget next season.
Yeah, we're going to transfer Scotty out, I think. Moyes ain't a manager. When you see Brighton doing the double over Arsenal, how can your manager write off games and say it's going down on the last game? Completely wrong mentality. No wonder these players are showing no fight. Absolutely. Like, I've been in situations, like, I know it's not the same, but I've been in situations in dressing rooms and stuff, and I fell out with managers when I used to play football. When, we used to turn up to a league.
Hang on. Weren't you the manager, so you fell out with yourself?
No, I wasn't always the manager. I'm just saying, like, it was only after he left that I took over as manager. But in my last knock-ins of my playing days, just before we had the accident, a good friend of mine took over manager. But we used to clash heads, massively. And I remember I was going to a game against Leyton Orient, and Leyton Orient's academy. And he just turned up, basically put out some random team, like fucking midfielders were playing up front and strikers were playing in defence. I was like, what are you doing? And he's like, we're not going to win, so what's the point? And I had a massive argument with him. And I'm saying, like, what's the point of his turning up then? We might as well have all stayed at home and just called the game. Because, we've got to pay money. Like, obviously it's a different situation, but I'm just saying, like, do you know what I mean? It's it does not instill any confidence in anybody, and there's an excuse there from the start.
What about then? I mean, I've seen a couple of people say it on the comments. Would you, say we stay up this season and they get rid of David Moyes and people want a young, ambitious manager, would you look at someone like giving Steven Gerrard a chance?
Well, he's someone I wanted instead of Moyes. Like when we was looking at sacking Pellegrini, and sacking him earlier, I would have liked to see him come because that is like a young, it's a gamble and it's a young progressive manager and someone that a lot of players I think would respect. So he's someone I wanted. I don't know about the rest of you guys, but
the problem is that you go for someone like Gerrard, right? You get Gerrard in, back him in the transfer market. What are we expecting from next season? Let's be honest, right? You bring someone like Gerrard in, you back him, and what you're going to do is a young manager. He's got his ideas.
Yeah,
right?
I'll be honest. With a club like us, every season, our ambition should be top 10.
Yeah, right. But
top 10 pushing for top 8.
Yeah, but say he comes in, right, and then we get to November, December, we're fleeting with relegation again. Then we boot him out and get another manager in again come January. Or do we sit there and go, right, this is the plan, this is the route we're going down. We believe in Stephen's philosophy and what he wants to do. And we understand he's inherited a pile of shit and he's going to take 2 or 3 seasons and we may go down to get that pile of shit better. There's no point bringing a new manager in at the start of the season. We get to December, we're in the same position and we lob him out. We've either got to stick to it. We can't keep changing managers. The manager merry-go-round is going to kill us.
Yeah, but this is what I'm saying. This is what when I'm talking, I know I keep going back to it, but I keep talking about Slaven Bilic. You know, we should have stuck with Billy. Imagine that summer, right? Our first summer at the London Stadium, right? We've just had that amazing season at the Bowling, right? Imagine if the board would have chucked 150 million at Slaven Bilic.
Yeah.
The thing is, as well, if we hadn't have left, if Bilic hadn't have got us where we got us in the last season at Upton Park, if we hadn't left Upton Park and still be still be there that first season, the second season that he was in charge, I'll be honest, I don't think he gets the boot. I think a lot of the transition over to the new stadium, and then the things weren't going right, and then the pressure started building up. That then got to Bilic, and that's why he lost the dressing room, and then lost the fans, and then the ball finally got him. I think if we were still at Upton Park, Bilic would have carried on. Bilic would have progressed further.
He just wasn't backed, I think, ultimately. He wasn't backed.
But that's the thing. You can say he wasn't backed. We signed how many players in that season?
Yeah, but look at all the players. Yeah, but that's what but the thing is, it's not just about the fact of we signed loads of players. We didn't sign the players that he wanted to sign. They just gave him like quantity over quality.
A lot of the people in the comments are obsessed with poo tonight, I think. So I keep seeing is poo. They're having a little competition.
But yeah, ultimately, I think with the manager, we need someone, I think, who's a little bit headstrong, who's got the experience, who can turn around and sort of fight the way through the chairman. Because ultimately, I think the chairman get involved too much. You know, you see all this nonsense.
You have just described Sean Dyche.
Yeah. I think someone like Dyche would be. I think Marco Beasler would have been a good appointment because he's got the experience. He's got the experience of like European football and all of that sort of thing. I think he's experienced enough to turn around and say, "Well, I know what I'm doing."
That's who we chose Bilic over, didn't we? We chose.
If we was more stable top 10 team pushing for Europe every season at the moment, I'd even be ambitious and maybe look at the Ajax manager. You know, I know Ajax are miles ahead of West Ham, but Premier League football is a lure for any manager. And, you know, he plays good football, and Ajax are one of them clubs. They're like the Southampton of Dutch football, aren't they? They get these young players and they just sell them on. You know, so, you know, there are managers out there that West Ham are an attractive football club. Premier League just attracts managers. But a London-based football club, fan base second to none, unreal. You know, we are an attractive football club, but at the moment we haven't got the right people running the football club to attract these sort of players. Yeah. So we have to look at managers like the Sean Dyches, or be willing to give someone like Steven Gerrard his Premier League chance, because it's worked for Lampard. I mean, Lampard got criticised, you know, beginning of the season, playing youngsters. But look, they're fourth. And look what they're doing now. They're signing players now for next season. And let me tell you now, Chelsea will be up there next season challenging.
Lampard going Chelsea was a massive PR thing for Chelsea. You know, bringing in a club legend like that, you know, at a time when they couldn't sign players, and it was a case of, well, if it don't work out, you know, with the youth players, that the fans won't get on his back as much, and it's worked out brilliantly for him. And you know, that's the thing. It's just I just don't feel that we're in a position at the moment to give that chance to anyone. You know, but everything does stem back on our owners because of the lack of scouting ability and stuff like that we've got. You can't bring a manager in with an idea, with a philosophy, and then go, I need players to fit this role, and this role. A manager can't scout every player himself. That's how I look at it. Yeah. And if you've not got that, like Nicky says, you're not got the stuff behind the scenes, it's not going to work. It's good to see Moyes was actually at the Chelsea game last night, putting a bit of scouting in.
I see a comment earlier about Moyes, and someone said that apparently, I think it was an ex-employee, just reported that an ex-player rumoured to be fucking Ginger Pele had said that Moyes was useless. Like, he was, as a manager, he found Moyes to be useless. He weren't really like motivated or anything like that, which is very interesting if that is true, to hear what the players feel. So it tells you a lot, and that just tells you that he's definitely not the geezer.
Yeah, that's it. That's the thing. But I don't know. There's so much wrong with our club at the moment. That's the problem. So much wrong.
It's honestly, it's a nightmare. Like I said, the best thing, we can all talk about solutions and who's the manager we should get, what players we should sign. Ultimately, the solution is new owners. That's it. Otherwise, it's just going to be a self-fulfilling prophecy all the time. And someone said about Chris Hughton and all that, and I was just thinking, could you imagine Chris Hughton and under these owners? And I just feel like it doesn't matter who you bring in. That's what I asked earlier about Klopp. I just think it's the same thing. What do you all think? Now, so there you go. What do you think the problem is in our club? And it just goes back to, that's all you can say is the owners. We've gone into depth on that, isn't it? Like why the owners and what they've done. We talked about a lot tonight. I just think it boils down to them. They don't know what they're doing. I was on a podcast the other day, and when I said it out loud, it made me realize we had David Sullivan, who was essentially our sort of unofficial director of football, who's a guy who made his money in the porn industry and all of this and adult magazines and stuff. And it's like, this isn't a football man. And he was going and picking our players and doing the deals. This is not good, man.
It's no different to me sitting here on Championship Manager going, oh, yeah, we should sign that player. We should sign that player.
Exactly. I was asking these kids who he thinks we should sign. It just sums it up. So until we get proper owners, it's just...
Should we try to talk about something positive?
Yeah.
Heard rumours of an American takeover. Would you trust that?
I'd take anything at the moment, mate.
That's meant to be led by
Trip Smith.
Doesn't from if he's obviously bought into the club already. Rumours are that he's getting a consortium together to come in and buy the club. To be honest, yeah, I'll take him.
I'm not being funny, mate, but a lot of people, they obviously look at the Man United situation with American owners and they say, oh, American owners never work. Look at Liverpool.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Look at
That's
Liverpool.
the one, although they weren't happy with them initially, but that does seem to be the one standout. But you've also got Man United, you've got Arsenal, and you've got Aston Villa before these owners. The owners that took them down were Americans. Yeah. So on percentages, FSG proved that you can have good American owners. And the thing is about their owners is they made a lot of missteps, but they listened to the fans. Like when they've made those missteps, the fans have pushed back and they've gone and corrected it. So that is what
I mean, there's people saying there that they wouldn't trust Americans running the club, but come on, let's be honest. We've had Golden Sullivan running it for 10 years. Exactly. Can they be any worse?
The thing is, I think with like American owners and people like that, like as long as the owners don't pretend that there's something they're not, as long as they come in and it's not a vanity project and they want to play Football Manager in real life and start doing all of that sort of thing. Because I think ultimately, that's what's the problem is with Sullivan. He seems to get a hard on for the fact that he signs players for £2 million, but he can shift them on for £20 million and things like that. Or he seems to get sort of like a bit of a lob on when he finds someone from the French second division and all that, and he sort of takes.
That's the businessman in him, isn't it?
But that's exactly
the thing. Is if he was doing that, Nick.
Wait. All right. But the thing is with American owners and people like that, if you get owners in that sort of turn around and say, look, we're here to sort of like, if they're honest about it as well, we're here to make money. We're here to sort of take over the football club. We're here to, we want to take over a big brand. We ain't got a clue how to run it. Who's the best people to run it? Who's the best people to do this? Like, who's the best people to do that? And take advice and all that. And that exactly like Hicks and Gillette. Yeah, Hicks and Gillette come in. There was a lot of nonsense about them when they first come in. But as you say, who did they go to? They went to the fans. They asked the fans what their opinions was. They asked the fans this. They asked the fans that. And ultimately, they listened to the fans. This is where Golden Sullivan go wrong. They don't listen to what people are saying. A couple of years ago, he was like, for 7 years, he was like the deal broker and all that. And people going, you can't do this. It's not, the way your scouting and stuff is working is not working. And I'll be hands off now and all that. He got a director of football in and sacked him. Who's doing it now? Who do you think's doing it now? It's him again because he's sort of like ego would be saying to him, well, I got someone in and it didn't work, blah, blah, blah. Listen, you've got to get...
The thing is with American owners as well, mate, is a lot of people panic that they're going to change our name to like things like... But I think with this Trip Smith, he's obviously been a shareholder at West Ham. He knows the club. Yeah. He knows the fan base. He's already been at the club for a couple of years, so he will obviously be running things. He just needs someone with him to back him.
And that's
apparently the Liverpool one is still not. He's not Hicks and Gillette. I thought it was still Hicks and Gillette, but it's.
No, it's Liverpool's FSG, mate.
Yeah, I'm not against. I don't care who takes over the club. I just want someone to come in with a bit of ambition, a bit like the Icelandics. You know, they had ambition, but unfortunately, they're the only billionaires that have ever gone bust. But they wanted to show ambition. They got rid of Pardew. They brought in Curbs at the time. They made all these signings. They had that ambition for West Ham, but they couldn't achieve it. That's why we want someone to come in who knows the football club, and they're not going to treat it like
They can't do any worse. That's the way I look at it. They can't do any worse.
But the thing is, and that's what I think with him. Where he's bought a small stake into the club. He's sniffing around. He's seeing how things run, and stuff like that. At the end of the day, like you said, Gold and Sullivan haven't done a great job.
I've just had an image of post-match Pint 2025. All of us saying, "Oh, I'd love Gold and Sullivan back." them Americans. But the only good thing about the Americans, well, at least we got cheap deals to Kissimmee and Disneyland, Disney World.
But that's the thing. At the end of the day, we've got to look back. You've got to look and see what Gold and Sullivan have done. They've not taken us any further forward. We are as far forward as Gold and Sullivan are ever going to take us. We need now someone to come in.
That's depressing.
They're about 5 years they've outstayed their welcome now.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, and that's
they had a little bit maybe with that. When we got to the last of the bowling season, everything was rosy and it sort of sugar-coated the move to the London Stadium because we was all on a high. But believe me, if we was in a relegation battle that season, it wouldn't have been all, everyone looking forward to it.
Yeah.
My camera might put out in a minute. I was running out of battery.
Oh,
mate.
God.
Well, what I'll do, I'll just switch to the Pixel camera.
Hey, good old
Hey. We need the pixels. We need a bit of happiness. Bring the pixels back.
What made you fall in love with West Ham? I think we've covered that so many times. I can't keep on covering that. It was my dad's team, and I lived local.
Golden Sullivan.
Can see you boys doing a Sunderland with your owners, manager, great fans, home and away, but just getting the piss taken out of us season after season.
At least we get a Netflix show out of it.
Yeah,
I think you're right.
We get a Netflix show. But no, I think Colin's bang on there. We are a great club. We've got some great. I know everyone says their fan base are the best, but I think what our fan base has been through, especially in the last 3 or 4 years, we've put up with so much shit, and we deserve a little bit of happiness. And if that happiness could be a new manager or a major signing or the owners fucking off, but we need something.
Dad, are you all right, mate? You look like you're going to pass out.
Like, listen, in my house, right, a lot of people that come in here say how hot it is in this house, like, in the best of times. Like, I am fucking roasting. I've got a fan, I've got a window, and I'm baking, mate. It's fucking
Dan,
horrible.
you don't need to go to the gym, mate. Just sit in your bedroom for 6 hours.
Yeah, it is like a sauna. I need to get naked and have a towel wrapped around me.
Oh, you should do that on the next show.
Edward Webster says, Nicky, have you got any more statues of the olden days? I've got no statues.
I think that means stories.
No, he's elaborated every
Save Nicky time for the end.
Yeah.
I don't think there is a Nicky time today.
See, Scott, he went, yeah.
He's had enough.
Thought Carl Pilkett would be used to the hot weather.
You have been around the world, Dan.
I have as well. We should have a little show for me.
I've got a fun fact about Dan, actually. He was Patrick Moore's stunt double in the Games Master series in 1997. Very true.
Wait a minute, who do you think looks more like Patrick Moore?
Into the little Games Master thing.
Right, let's be honest, right? If everyone look at the who looks more like Patrick Moore, me or Nicky?
I don't look like Patrick fucking Moore.
You got the eye, like that eye.
Nicky looks more like Dudley Moore.
But you've got that one eye that's sort of closed up a bit, like he had.
Oh, you say you got a dick eye, Nick?
I think I have got a little bit of a dick eye coming back, to be honest. Yeah.
I think Scott Brown, sons, brings up a point. If only Snodgrass wasn't injured.
Yeah, we could do with him.
Passion and put a bit of effort in. Especially
involved in most goals.
Exactly.
West Ham this season, isn't it?
Yeah,
Snodgrass is a massive miss, especially on set pieces.
Someone said I look like Sean Dyche.
The thing is with the thing is with
do his accent, Dan. Do his voice. Do an impression.
Well, you know, a lot of people think I look like Sean Dyche, and
Well,
I've
that's
got to
quite
say
good,
I don't
man.
see it. Thank
that's
you.
quite good.
I should be able to say I've got some impressions under my belt.
I thought you were going to sound like Harry Redknapp again.
Good.
Every time you do an impression, you sound like Harry Redknapp. Do you David Sullivan one?
My David Sullivan. Oh yeah, that was that. Well, you know, we haven't got the transfer money.
That's
this
how he read
season.
that.
There's no money in it. You
Definitely
know,
haven't
no
read
money. I don't think that's. I think that sounds. I would like to see someone else's Sullivan. You know, one of you guys must do a Sullivan. I know Nicky does.
Yeah,
You know what? As we said last time, I forgot what he sounds like. I ain't seen him for ages. Yeah, that's Harry Redknapp. Every time you do David Sullivan, you sound like Harry. Yeah, well, you know, it was a good game. You know, he's a great player.
Terrific.
That's Harry
I tell
Redknapp,
ya,
isn't it?
Homework for next week. Everyone
saw
go
him-
and listen to Sullivan, right? Go
Nah,
and watch the
well,
Sullivan thing and do it
you
for next
know,
week.
I took Nico Cranchier on a free, you know, good player, you know.
Lewis, Aaron Trolls. Nicky mentioned Clarence Bew and what went on last night.
What's that?
I don't know what happened.
Oh, that was I ain't really seen that. I've seen a lot of people tweeting us about it, but I didn't
It was the geezer's mentioned. He's threatening to
Is that Hugh Southern that hasn't been to West Ham in like 60 years, but he runs the club?
Yeah.
Front room.
Threatening to sue a fan or something. Apparently, that fan was in the chat. Someone saw.
I feel a bit sorry for Sean because you know you've had Sean on the channel before, and we've met Sean, and I think he comes across all right. And I think sometimes with what Hugh does, obviously people relate Sean to it. So maybe he'd be better off going on his own and just calling it fucking Claret and No Hugh.
Claret, no Hugh. It seems very dodgy.
He was threatening. Someone said something in the comments, and he didn't like it, and he was threatening to sue them or something like that.
He was taking money. Well, they just made an offhanded comment that he was taking money from the board, wasn't it? And then that's when
he's going to get his brief. And I think they went on Emma's chat and started to sort of panic a little bit and say, like, can you ask him not to get solicitors involved? He's a student, just come out of college and all that. Fucking bully boy. That's what he is.
Scumbag.
Jordan Such donated another £5. Please, Jordan, stop now. Keep your money in your pocket. You do not need to give us any money to get your comments on the screen. How many points do you realistically see West Ham taking in your remaining 7 games?
8.
8. Oh, bloody hell. So what's that going to give us? 35, you know?
8. I'm saying 8.
Oh, I reckon if I'm optimistic, I feel like I feel 10. I feel 10. I'm not optimistic. So I think we might have a little late season burst.
Like 7 all season.
I'm saying 8 points.
Have we?
Yeah, we've only won like 7 games all season. I think only about 5 of them are at home.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, it's not looking good, mate. But you know, you don't know, do you? There's always teams that
What was the
sort of.
question? How many points? Well, I said that after the Chelsea game, if we don't get anything from Chelsea, that the next 4 games after that, realistically, we've got to look in at a minimum of 7 points. If we get the 7 points, we'll stay up. I've got no doubt about that. But I'd like to see us take at least between 9 and 10 points. I'd like, but
Yeah, I'm going. I think we can sneak 8 points in there.
oh, you cheeky git!
I genuinely wholeheartedly believe that we will only pick up points against Norwich. We've looked that bad.
Yeah,
I don't know, mate. There's always twists in the tail in relegation fights. There's always twists. I just hope the twist is with us this year. Harry Finch, Villa fan, you're defo stand up with your fixtures. We're down already after the Newcastle draw. I don't know, mate.
The one thing I like about Aston Villa is I look at their team and I've said it loads of times before. I'm a massive fan of Jack Grealish. Harry hasn't got an England cap yet. I don't know. You know, he and I look at someone like Jack Grealish and he can drag them through games.
Mm-hmm.
And they've got other players as well there, like McGinn. You know, they've got some good players in that team. And obviously, if it was out of us two, I'd want Aston Villa to go down. But that's because I'm speaking for a West Ham fan. But Jack Grealish, for me, is someone that I'd love in our team just to drag us through games and create things. Because he's not the most foul player in the Premiership for no reason. because he wants that ball and he picks it up and he wants to create things.
Yeah, but
He does try himself down.
Saw that the other night with, I can't remember what team it was, but they just basically stuck 2 men on him and Villa couldn't do anything else. And that's what we need to do. You need to take Grealish out of the game. Villa are not a good enough side to work without Grealish, pulling the strings. And that's what you do. We nullified.
If you looked at their squad now and our squad, I think I'd take their squad.
You're probably right. But if you put Grealish in our squad would be 10 times better.
I think I'll probably take their manager as well. In fact, I'll take their stadium.
I tell you, I would take that. I love this.
Can't we merge and call like West Ham, Aston Villa, and just merge as the claret and blue giants of the Midlands and London just merge together?
Aston Ham.
And we all hate Golden Sullivan because obviously the Birmingham connection, so we can fuck them off.
I don't know. They must love our Golden Sullivan after what they did to Birmingham, so maybe they love them. They're grateful.
Trust me, mate. They don't love Golden Sullivan in Villa.
Does anyone love Golden Sullivan? That's the
question. I don't even think Golden Sullivan love Golden Sullivan.
No, exactly.
If you go down, concede yourself, going the same way as Sunderland, we have already had that comment, mate. I think that's bang on the money. If you do start, can you see it being any different next season?
Only if we make a change, or if they do stick with David Moyes, they give him money and let David Moyes bring in his own players. But I can't see. I honestly cannot see David Moyes staying at West Ham. I think they give him that 2-year deal because this time he'll get a nice little payoff.
It's okay. I look at it this way: unless there's a bit of structure brought in behind the scenes at the club, and a bit of more money invested in the club in the right way, we'll be exactly the same again next season. Fleeting around the bottom, trying to stay up, and we'll probably do like we used to. We'll get to 10 games in, can't get relegated, finish 15th, 16th.
Right, let's start taking the last few now because we're getting towards 9 o'clock. Words and pictures. Question: Horlicks or hot chocolate?
Neither. I don't drink hot drinks.
I'm not going to lie. I don't mind a cheeky little Horlicks now and again.
I'm with you, right? I don't mind a cheeky little Horlicks.
It's like Malteser, isn't it?
Malteser in filling.
I know people that actually eat it like out of the jar, like.
No, I couldn't do that.
But yeah, no, I listen. I don't mind a little cheeky Horlicks now and again.
I'll take a nice hot chocolate though, but it's got to be a nice one, a really nice one, because
hot chocolate's very hit and miss, isn't it?
Do you remember the ones what was the ones we used to get in school? Is it Options?
Options, yeah. Oh my god,
they used to have the orange Options. It never used to mix, and all the chocolate was at the bottom. You used to just drink like piss water until you got to the bottom. It was like a big chunk of chocolate. And you're like,
yeah,
25p as well. Eastie School charging 25p for a hot chocolate.
Used to,
probably about £3.50 now.
You got to get a good hot chocolate to have a nice hot chocolate.
If it has to be cold for me, I don't drink anything hot. I only drink cold drinks.
I bet your beer's hot at the moment.
What side of the chocolate is the top?
The chocolate side, of course.
The digestive side, because it's got all the.
I don't like confusing critical questions like that.
Scott, that's not a valid reason because
if you look at a digestive, like without the chocolate on it, the top is the side with the writing on it. So I would say the chocolate is on the bottom of a chocolate digestive because the other side is the top on the normal digestive.
Rory Thompson's just said a nice strong hot coffee. I'm definitely with you on that, mate. I love a coffee.
Can't stand coffee.
I love it. Love a strong coffee as well. Love it.
Galaxy Ripple or Flake? Flake all day long.
I don't know.
That's a tough one.
Ripple's better. Ripple's a more complete flake, isn't it?
Yeah, Galaxy chocolate's nice as well.
Fig roll, yes or no? Not for me.
I can't even remember last time I had a fig roll.
Yeah, I can't. Do you know what? I don't mind fig roll, so I'm going, yeah.
Oh, we had one at your tea party you threw the other week, Scott.
Tea party
before lockdown.
Oh, yeah. Do you remember that? I'm late.
Fig rolls and sauce night.
Is Jeff a cake or a biscuit?
Oh,
we had this on my other podcast last night.
I would say get Billy on the phone, Nick, but we're not on talking terms at the moment.
No, not on talking terms at the moment.
It goes hard when it goes off, so it's a cake.
It's definitely a cake. 100% a cake.
And it's got cake in its name.
Dan, when there's Jaffa cakes in my house, mate, they don't have time to go hard, mate. They're down, they're gone.
You know what?
Straight up.
My other half bought in pineapple Jaffa cakes yesterday.
Oh.
That was all right.
Nah, I'm not having it.
Strange.
Robbie Reynolds, your favourite spirit?
Top up for me, Jack Daniels and Captain Morgan's.
Yeah, I like Captain
See,
Morgan's.
I was a massive. I love massive Jack Daniels fan. I don't mind a drop of whiskey now and again, but I've sort of over the last few years I've sort of gone to more vodka. But I don't mind a cheeky little JD now and again. Me and Graham usually nick one when we're at the bar. We always slip off. Me and Graham have a cheeky Jack Daniels. I wish he was here to tell the story.
Man. I've been a vodka man since I was a teenager.
Yeah, I like vodka, but the new thing is gin, innit? And I don't mind the flavoured gin.
Flavoured gins.
Flavoured gin's right.
Yeah. But you can't go wrong with vodka, can you?
I can't. No, I can because I end up getting arrested when I drink vodka, so I can't drink vodka. It sends me loopy. But I just discovered that I like Jameson's. You know, I've never been a big whiskey fan, but Irish whiskey don't have that smoky taste that I hate about Scotch. Jameson's.
I don't mind a little bit of Southern Comfort.
My mum likes that. It's very sweet.
Yeah, sweet.
A little bit of Monica in my
John
life.
Proctor says red sauce or brown sauce on a bacon butty, or Dan, red sauce or brown sauce on a leaf sandwich.
Well, on your leaf sandwich, you got to have the
Twiggly.
No, you go red. No, but you would go. What you're supposed to do is you have red on bacon, brown on sausage. That's all I'm saying. That's the rules.
Red on bacon all day long, mate.
Yeah, I don't like brown sauce. I'm a red man.
Yeah, I don't eat brown sauce at all. I don't eat it at all.
Brown sauce, man. On a bacon.
I've just never taken to it. I've tried it, but I just don't like it. Like,
no,
you need it in a sausage sandwich.
I've become a little bit because the other week I ran out of red sauce. I put a bit of brown sauce on it. I don't mind it now. You know what I mean? I used to disdain it, but it's definitely red sauce.
Well, the thing is, we know red sauce is tomato. What's brown then? What's the brown sauce?
I was going to say, does anyone know what the HP stands for on HP sauce?
Heinz Peterson, or I don't know.
No,
it's got to be Heinz something, isn't it?
Yeah, I know.
Think of the label.
In the label,
Houses of Parliament.
Yeah.
Cream or jam first on a scone. It's got to be jam for stability.
You can't spread the jam if you put the cream on first.
I don't eat scones.
Look at old British Bake Off down the bottom corner.
McDonald's or Burger King?
Burger King all day long.
Oh, this is tough because Burger King burgers are better, I think, but the chips are better at McDonald's. So I'd have a Burger King burger, McDonald's chips, and a Wimpy milkshake.
I've gone right off of McDonald's ever since it came back.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting. You loved McDonald's. You was always at the drive. Every time along the way home from football in Canning Town, got stopped from McDonald's.
I'm a bit funny with restaurants and that at the moment because I think they're just going to be serving up all their old shit that they've had for 3 months. So going to give it a swerve.
It's all cleared out now.
And the thing is, as well, I know restaurants are opening from like the 4th of July, and I've been getting emails from restaurants that I go to saying we're open. But during lockdown, I've been watching a lot of Gordon Ramsay Kitchen Nightmares, and it's fucking put me off going to restaurants anymore.
Yeah, that will fucking put you right off.
I need to stop watching it but I'm one of them people. If I don't see it, I don't know what's gone on. I'll eat it.
That's the best way to be, mate. Trust me.
Yeah, I don't want a guided tour around the kitchens. I don't care as long as it looks nice on the plate. I don't care.
Dan's fat shaming. We love you, Nicky. I know that's very fat.
I never said he's fat. I just said he likes McDonald's.
Come on.
But I'm just saying, you would go on every time on the way home from football, get a chips or a milkshake or a burger.
I used to buy you something as well, so don't you start.
Yeah, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying. I thought I was surprised that you've gone off it. That's very interesting.
Yeah, I've gone right off of it. To be honest with you, we had my boy's birthday when it reopened, and we went and got him one, and we had a burger, and it just didn't taste like nothing. It was just shit. But we've been obviously lots and lots of home cooking recently. You know what I mean? Before it all opened again and all that sort of thing. So I think my taste buds might have changed. Right, yeah. Robert Finesse, Chinese or Indian? Now there's a question. For me, Chinese.
Yeah, I love Chinese, but with Indian, I prefer going to a restaurant. I prefer going to an Indian restaurant than a Chinese.
Yeah.
But as a takeaway, I prefer Chinese. I don't know if
Chinese has more variety, really. Like Indian, it's like this curry, that curry, this curry, maybe a samosa, maybe a pakora.
You know what I love about Indian though is just when they just keep bringing out the poppadoms and you just like, and they always. Do you know what I love about Indian restaurants? They always chuck in a complimentary drink at the end of the night, and you always go for the Baileys. Yeah, nice little shot, little Baileys, little mint chocolates. You know, you've had a good night. Everyone's bloated. Let's have a Baileys.
The edge off. Takes the edge off.
Hear about where we went to a Chinese restaurant after a game once, me and Ryan, and sort of he was out with his family. I just latched on because
that was the Southampton last home game, wasn't it? Last season.
Yes, it was. Yeah, I just latched on. The family were going out for a meal. I was still editing and still out after, like, for a few drinks. They went for a Chinese. I just said, I'll come, and asked for a Coke, and she went, a big one or a small one? And I thought she meant like medium or large. And I'm like, I'll have a big one. She brought out a fucking 3-litre bottle and walked it on the table.
But she literally just slammed it on the table.
She slammed it on the table. All the fucking knives and forks went up. I went, no, just a glass.
Ken Ammers said he's a Bacardi. He used to drink Bacardi when he was a drinker. I think there's a lot of old school used to drink that. My dad was a Bacardi drinker.
My mum loved the Bacardi when she was younger.
You don't hear about it so much these days, do you? Don't meet many Bacardi drinkers anymore.
No, not really.
Yeah, a lot of people are saying it's Nicky's story time, so should we all get some warm milk and tuck ourselves in? What story you got, Nick?
I ain't got no stories this week. Maybe you can remind me of one, because you've been with me for most of them.
I ain't been nowhere. This is Virulin or Cockney Rejects singing "I'm Forever Blowing Bubbles." I mean, we didn't. I think we mentioned it sort of last week, but yeah, Virulin obviously sadly passed away. Good old East End girl. Yeah, she sees some changes in this country, isn't she? Bless her. But she's at peace now. Bless her. 103. You know, if any of us get anywhere near that, you know, you've had a good life. But yeah, her version of Bubbles is nice, and obviously the Cockney Rejects is a lot more sort of up tempo. So
yeah,
it's a difficult one. But when I used to train down the Peacock Gym, I used to train with Jeff Turner from the Cockney Rejects, and I used to love talking to him. He's such a top bloke, unbelievable bloke. And obviously they played at the last ever game at the Boleyn. So
what's your choice? Yeah, I did get which one you prefer.
No, I'm just saying it's obviously they're two totally different things, isn't it? It's like saying hot or cold. You know,
I'm gonna go the Cockney Rejects version.
Yeah, Cockney Rejects is more up tempo, but if I'm laying in bed with a gin, I'll have the Virulin going.
I was in Japan, with a Japanese West Ham fan, and we was like, let's sing Bubbles together. And they had Bubbles, and we was like singing like I'm forever. And then they started playing the Virulin version, and it was so awkward. There's a video, but I die inside when I see it, so I can't put myself to upload it.
Well, that video's got to come out.
Now I've said it, innit? I fucking
if Dan loses the next forfeit challenge, that's your forfeit.
Hamid, we can't watch Nicky roll into bed tonight. No, I'm out the garden. Right, I think that's about it. Tevez is coming home. Someone said.
Someone just said, yeah.
Someone asked whether it's back on it, but someone asked, would you? Flags falling down. Take Tevez back.
For what? A night out?
No, would you take Tevez back?
He's about 30. He's about 36 now, isn't he?
36.
Well, he was talking today about retiring, wasn't he, to Europe?
Oh, well, that's perfect for West Ham, then.
Yeah, he was sort of saying if I was to retire back to Europe, there's only one club that would interest me, and that's West Ham. Well, what other fucking choice would he have? Because he ain't going back to Manchester fucking City or Juventus, that's for sure.
If I'm honest, I'll take him back.
Dan, there's one for you.
Discord channel next week. If you guys want it, I'll set it's our Patreon thing. We set up a Discord. If everyone wants a Discord, I'm gonna look into that. We'll get that up and running for next week. Hopefully. It's like a forum, it's like a Discord.
Oh, right.
It's like that, but you don't have to host it or nothing. Like you have, you check it and that. So next
West Ham retirement home, says Robert Furness. Thank you so much for joining us on this edition of West Ham Fan TV's Friday Night Pint. Thank you so much for everyone who's got involved in the comments that sat here to the end and watched. We really, really appreciate it. Obviously, there's content coming up for the Chelsea game on Wednesday. If you haven't seen all the content that we've done last week, go and check that out as well. There'll be Patreon-only exclusive shows going up before that as well. I think there's one gone up today, isn't it, Dan?
Yes, there has a clip from the All Premier League show, so go check that.
But no, there will be content for everyone else that isn't a patron. But if you want to subscribe to the Patreon, everything goes on audio as well. So you can download the audio from all of our shows, including this one. So you can go and listen to it in the van or whatever, post-match pint and, all of that sort of stuff. It all goes into an audio form, downloadable for the Patreon. So go and check that out in the link in the description down below. But don't worry, if you're not a patron, just click the subscribe button, click a like on this video because it helps us out greatly. Thank you so much for watching. Our T-shirts are coming back out. I think the T-shirt lads are getting back to work right now. So you can, T-shirt like this. I just chucked this one. I'm going to change this T-shirt. Ain't nobody like Lanzini, and on the back I'm going to thank fuck for that.
That T-shirt was black when you first got it. You've watched it so many times.
So go and check all them out as well because there are some brilliant designs on there. We're going to get the designer to do some new ones as well. I know he's going to be a little bit worse for wear because the designer's actually a Liverpool fan. We just pitched the ideas for him, but yeah, he's going to be a little bit worse for wear for the next couple of days, I'm sure. Congratulations to Liverpool, by the way, and our friends over at Redmen TV. I'm sure they're having a great night. And hopefully they'll support us through the rest of the season. But thank you so much for joining us on this edition of West Ham Fan TV's Friday Night Pint. As I said, one thing left to say, lads.
Come on, you irons.
Come on, you irons.